The aim of this project is to explain how a human works. Psychology cannot explain mental illness, beliefs, or the generative process behind a human action. They not only cannot explain the how question, they don't really explain the why question either. Why is it that humans have mental illness and beliefs? What is the ultimate objective behind a human action? Is this because we're waiting for a big breakthrough moment where we do a correlation study or we work out what some gene does and all of this structure will fall into place? Or is there actually a more fundamental problem with psychology that is based upon a misconception? Psychology is trying to be a purely empirical science. Part of the reason for this is that in the past they've become trapped in some very bad philosophy, asking questions like what is a mind and what is free will. We've spent thousands of years asking this question and getting no answer. And to try and avoid that, they're trying to be purely an empirical science. What I'm suggesting is that if we look at a human action, we should not think of it as a phenomena. A scientist is trying to decode the causal structure behind a phenomena. But is a human action a phenomena, or is it more like a statement, something said? When we say something, we don't talk about that having a causal structure. It might have a causal structure in neurological terms, but we think of it as having a derivation. And so with a human action, should we think of it not as being something caused, but something derived? It's the output of a computation. This approach implies that actually a scientific empirical approach is not really appropriate. We should instead be thinking in terms of logic and mathematics. So the transition between causality and derivation occurs principally because a human understands itself so well. If we think of an animal who will run away from something in response to fear, we could say that fear is the causation and running away is the response. We can think of that in causal terms, but because a human understands fear, it understands the point of fear, it understands what it's for, then we have to think of fear not as a phenomena, but as a concept. To a human, it is a concept. And when we run away, we are doing so partly in response to a fear, but partly also because we understand what the fear is for. We understand why we're doing it. That means that we can look at a whole range of human actions not as being the output of a biological causal mechanism, but as the output of a process of reason. The purpose of this project is to explain that humans understand emotions. As a result of that, they use emotions as tools, so they will perform tactical deception with emotional behaviour. When they do that, they corrupt their own understanding of their emotions. When we are calculating an action, we are basing that upon an understanding of an emotional state, but we are also misunderstanding an emotional state because our understanding of emotional state led us to perform tactical deception with emotional behaviour. Tactical deception with emotional behaviour leads us to corrupt the data from which the understanding originally arose. The point of this project is to trace that process of reasoning all the way through so that we can understand why a human will perform a self-destructive action and it can be rationally derived. Normal self-destructive actions are the result of a simple misunderstanding of an emotion. Mental illness is a result of a complex misunderstanding of an emotion, and a belief is actually a tautology that results when the belief itself becomes a cause of a manipulated behaviour, leading us into a cycle where we think that the belief causes well-being when actually the belief is causing the behaviour that is evidence of well-being. A belief manufactures the evidence of its own truth, in other words. That's just a simple introduction to what this project is about. There are lots of different elements to it, which we'll go through in various videos on this channel. And I hope you found that as a good introduction, and we look forward to digging into more detail as we go along.